Mimi Cherry presents a series of fortunate events. Fortunate events. Fortunate events. A series of fortunate events.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Wait, is she back? She's been gone for a minute. Yes, this is Series of Fortunate Events, and it's brought to you by little old me, Miss Mimi Cherry. But oh my God, you guys, this is just from the moment that I dreamt this show. She's been on my list of dream guests. She's part of why I even have this silly little show. It's the queen of podcasting. It's the medical miracle. It's the poker to the stars. Miss Chemda.
Thank you. I've always wanted to be called Poker to the Stars.
First things first, shout out to Xerxes.
Of course. Shout out to Xerxes all the way. Thank you for, acknowledging that and for knowing my culture.
Of course. Well, that and you're a radical hippie. So, those are the two things that we're going to kick off with.
Oh boy. Okay.
So how are you feeling today, Miss Chemda? Still locked in your little quarantine closet?
Grateful for my closet.
Yes.
Just having a Sunday, which is right now light work, but also, catching up on being human.
Yeah. And hopefully Saturday was Lover Day.
It was. Thank you. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
such a beautiful bike ride. It was supposed to rain all day, but instead we were able to be outside, which is nice. Finding the air that's 6 feet distance is so great.
And your knee and all that. So it sounds like you're kind of like getting moving and grooving and you're feeling better there too.
Yeah, I got to get it more healthy before another surgery. So that's going well with the biking. It's actually very necessary.
Yeah. So you're here because you're a pioneer of podcasting. 15 plus years at this point, right?
Yep, 2005.
Yeah. And, I've been listening for maybe 12 or 13 of those years.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Huge fan. Not sure if you've noticed.
Thank you.
But I want you to talk to me a little bit about your journey with Keith. For some of those that might not know, and I know that
about Keith. Oh God.
Well, no, it's just it's
I'm
Keith and the
joking.
girl, and
Yeah.
I still am fascinated, and I know that you guys like joke about like you guys dated, what? But I mean that like what a journey. I mean you started on this little pirate ship, not knowing what it was going to become. You're lovers. You're living in this little well, I don't know if it was little, but your spot that was like a studio in your home, and then you both grew apart, and then the story continues. But like tell me about that journey from those kids who were doing clown parties to now small business owners.
On a personal level between me and Keith, it was like getting a divorce and having kids. I feel like, I know it's different, and I know those are human beings, and I can drop this podcast and they can't drop their children. Totally get that. But it's comparable in some ways. I relate to it. When you get divorced, you just kind of want to get away from that person for a little bit, but you don't have that choice. So that making that decision of continuing the podcast while you're in that get the fuck away from me stage is quite a decision to make. You always kind of go back and forth, like, am I making the right decision? And we would talk to each other about that. Like, do you still want to do this? In all honesty, we both know that we can do it with other people, and that the listeners will just have to understand, and everything has to be what it is. So I think it was just a rough time when you separate from someone who's so enmeshed in your life, and you have to reorganize your relationship with each other. So that's the personal note. And the business note is like that it's a business that like I have to call myself a boss, that
You're a
taxes
small business owner.
yeah, we didn't really think about that before we got into it like a business. People go like, here's my business, here's where I project, and blah blah blah, and we sort of like backed our way into it. And then people are calling me a producer, and I had to look it up, to see what that is. Cause I'm like, no, I don't think I am. I think producers do this other thing. And turns out that's what we're doing, just stuff like that, that because you don't know it, because it's so new, not just to you, but to everybody else. So there is no road that you can even like pick from, So the paving is weird and awkward sometimes, but that's how I like my life. I like it to have these changes and grooves and decisions to be made, instead of like sort of falling into whatever's next that's supposed to quote unquote be next. So
Mhm.
I think like no matter what that scale, when I look back, tips like, hey, you knew what you knew when you knew it. You made the best decision you could. Some of that
Yeah.
was fucked up. Maybe some of the stuff you needed to shut the fuck up about. Maybe you needed to be louder sometimes. And I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like a 9-year-old, sometimes a 19-year-old, just trying to be an adult and take responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I remember years ago, me and you did, like a coaching session. This was years ago. I still have it written down and I still have it in my notebook. And I'm going to quote, and it says, Chemda says, be good to yourself. You're a good person. Be in a room with people that elevate you. And I have to tell you so much. I mean, I really, truly feel like you over the years have had just as much of an influence on my growth, directly and indirectly through the show, through our conversations, just as much as like my family and my friends. Like you are my friend. You're like, friend of the pod, but like
Oh,
I
this
consider
is
you my
real
friend.
stuff. Yeah, all this podcasting that used to be, podcasting, whatever. This has, saved my life in so many ways. So I think that's real. People, can describe a connection as A, B, or C, but there's a whole alphabet out there. So
Yeah.
that's really sweet of you to bring out. Thank you.
So I also think it's amazing, you guys were on the pod, you were a podcast when podcast was just part of the little wheel in the iPod.
Oh, I love the wheel. I
I mean,
love it.
pre-iPhone, people were like, oh yeah,
Yes.
the iPhones had podcasts on it. Like, no, the iPod did. And now, you have Spotify podcast billboards in Times Square.
Oh, it's such a trip.
There is no Joe Rogan or Joe Budden without Chemda and Keith. I'm sorry, guys, to tell you. Thought you should know. But what has surprised you the most about the changes and growth within this podcast industry? I remember you feeling awkward about even calling yourself a podcaster because people didn't even know what that was.
What's the biggest growth? I don't know. The
Or like biggest,
ability.
what you're the most surprised about of like the growth in the industry.
See, I think we always knew that podcasting would be something because it was too good not to grow in this very particular way. I think that, just like records turned into CDs, into MP3s, like technology was going to change and the radio seemed so, I don't know, old as soon as you knew what a podcasting was. So what a podcast was. So we kind of like, we didn't know how much or what it would do, but this is pretty much the growth of a next generation technology thing. But I don't know, maybe I definitely didn't expect that this would be what I do when we first started because I wasn't even doing it for me. I was doing it for Keith. That's why it's called Keith and the Girl. So for me to be a speaker, to feel this comfortable on a mic talking is very surprising to me. To be able to state my opinions and feel confident about it to the level that I've grown with 15 years, like, 15 years of anything, you're going to see that growth. That's really fun.
Yeah.
That it's bled into my real life, and I've lost, my parents and friends over it. And it's not because of the podcast. It's because I recognized my opinions because I say them so much. And then I just kind of try to live by that. And then you can't please everybody. So there you are anyway. You weren't pleasing them anyway. You were just living their life as yours. So that's what happens.
I think when I think of you now, I think of resilience and grit. And I think sometimes people might label
I
that.
like it. I'm going to make that my something. That's my billboard.
Well, I think sometimes when people like call you aggressive or like passionate or whatever, like to me, I hear grit. I hear resilience. Sometimes you're just being aggressive. I love you.
I'll accept that today. But let's block Andrea from hearing this particular show.
She's AB blocked from this section. Her ears just hear a whistle like like a dog. But another thing that I think I wanted to give you your flowers on that you guys kind of were pioneers on that I don't think you get credit on, you had your personal Patreon before Patreon was a thing, which is Keeping the Girl VIP. And you chose to make that your business route of like your exclusive content. What has been the biggest lesson that you've learned from like that part of your business spinoff?
That we are business people, like I started questioning how to do things, and I definitely didn't know how to run a business in its entirety. But when I listened to business podcasts like my brother's Mixergy, the fact that I relate to business people, I'm like, oh, they were nervous to make that decision also. Oh, that failed in this way also. Or like the same thoughts that these, what we think of businessmen, I'm having it too. So it's sort of a relief, like, you just kind of see everybody in their confidence. So to note that they got their confidence by being uncomfortable about this, that, and the next was very comforting. And then I can be a little more at ease in that position that I have to be put in. And I think a lot of artists have to be right now and maybe forever.
Yeah, well, which is monetizing your product.
Yeah, weird, right? Even
Yeah,
that sentence, I had to learn what the word monetizing meant. I don't know.
And especially in a podcast realm, which for so long, the big part of the pitch is that it's free, it's downloadable, you know what I mean? But ultimately along the way, like t-shirts and stickers are going to only get you so far. You are the product, which is something that I myself, in making a choice to have my podcast product, and even along the way of the journey of this series of fortunate events, I had to sometimes wrestle a little bit and have conversations with myself of how comfortable I felt about making myself the product versus like, what do I actually want to do with this platform? And so, that's why I love Fortunate Rants with Maddie, because, the stories are the product. You know what I mean? Like our banter is the product.
Exactly. That's why Keith and the Girl was a little bit easier. When I call people or email people, I'm representing this product, but I'm a product too, and so is Keith, and it's weird to describe yourself like that, but singers, artists, we've always been the product. It's just that the separation of business and product, and people weren't calling it content or product, they were calling it a talk show, and singing, they were being a little bit more specific. So now, because I think the artist is more well-rounded, we're calling it content, because you're not just a singer, you're a singer actor, you're a singer podcaster. It's kind of fun, but it's like more pressure. But we have to like stop thinking about it as pressure. It's just the way that we're going, because when you're entertaining, when you're describing the pressure and the behind the scenes, I think, that is important and it's interesting, but it still always has been a very difficult process to be an artist. But it would be nice to focus more on the artistry. And the problem is just because that's the truth, it doesn't mean that's what your audience wants to hear over and over again. You still have to entertain and sort of deal with that on the back end.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting about podcasting is that for the longest time, versus music, there was no record label to be the machine behind the product, because that's usually the separation, is that the artist usually has a manager, the PR, there's a machine behind usually the artist that then lets the artist be the content, be the creator, be the whatnot. And so it's interesting. I was listening to Joe Budden. He just recently was very honest and open about why he's walking away from Spotify and his experience with Spotify, and how he basically was one of the first podcasts to come onto Spotify, the platform, to build out their podcast platform, and how he felt like as a creator and how he showed up for them, they didn't take care of him. And it reminded me of like along the years, like you guys were presented with options to go up to a machine that fast forward, people just ended up getting screwed. Like, I think it's amazing that you guys always have the fortitude to just like, no, it's my thing. I'm going to keep it my thing. It's one of the reasons why I also pay for my own hosting, pay for my own website, et cetera, because I value the lessons that I learned from you guys along the way. But I think it's so interesting that it's still happening today to a Joe Budden who went through it in the music industry. And so he recognizes, he's like, I might be a high school dropout, but I understand when people are fucking me over,
And
so I thought that Yeah.
That's such interesting information. That must have been an incredible episode.
Yeah.
That's always been sort of the give and take of it, right? So there's always been record labels, and yes, you have a machine behind you, but now there's a machine behind you, and you're the only artist. So now we're artists talking to other artists, but we have to bring business into our communication as well. So both sides have this awkward part, and it has a different kind of work. So here you're
Yeah.
working the business work, but you have full access to what your next step is. And there you get to be an artist a little bit more, but then you have to, at some point, you do have to pay attention to the business artist. I think we learned that from what's his face. You can't touch this.
And TLC, and
Yes.
et
So no
cetera.
matter what, I
Yeah.
guess you have to pay attention to your business, even when there is a machine. So I think we're learning to pay attention a little bit before. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it feels unfortunate because an artist doesn't want to think that way, but a business person has to think artistically also, their whole company will get stale and fail. So we're all doing a piece of something that is uncomfortable, that we just want to stay in our own realm and have somebody else push us.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the give and take always. It's the give and take of being a freelancer versus going to a 9 to 5 and getting a check. There's no certainty with either one of those, no matter what.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for is to which one of these can I hire or bring on my team so I can be unconscious is a very scary thing to do. But that's what I think we take it as. Oh, you're the businessman. Now I could be unconscious about my business is never the answer. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, no matter which role is our main role, we always have to pay attention to these other things.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
drag, and not the good drag.
No, it's not the good kind of drag. Another thing that I am so fascinated by, and I signed up, I was definitely intrigued by the special offer. And I think it's so amazing that it started as one of your spin-off podcasts in the VIP, and now you've created this module of coaching that is very, unique to you. And I'm just so fascinated with how you even, first of all, had the balls to say, I'm going to do this and you guys are going to pay me for it. And at first I was like, what is this thing? And I'm like, please, could you please take my money? Tell me about that journey in your mind.
I've thought of that, even recently. How is it that it's me who has the balls? Like, do I have the right to have the balls to tell people, quote, how to live their lives, sort of as a coach, right? And then I always go to the way I got to here is I am just sharing the information, which sounds like, the speech from a lot of coaches and, but that really was the journey. I fell into a very difficult time, both physically and emotionally in my life, which I think is where a lot of these major changes for people come from.
Yeah.
And so I'm no different. And I can speak about that more if you want. But
Yeah.
But to get out of that, I started doing real research. This is at least 4 years ago, where I researched how to be happy. And it boiled down to these 8 exercises that I put together, and I gave it to people to try. And I said, and that was for free. I mean, it's behind the VIP, but it's just part of it. I wasn't selling it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always give it to people for free. You just have to email it to me, and it's absolutely yours.
I love that about you too.
I mean, I really do want people to have this, and it's also a selling technique. So it's weird for that to come out of my face, but I mean it,
Yeah.
So then I thought, wouldn't it be fun and good if I can relay this information in this way? This is the way that I would want it or need it, or maybe walk through it. I think the accountability of getting a group together. So all of these are just thoughts that I had that I said, let me try this. Let me make sure that there's value in it for other people before I sell it. And it seemed like there was. And really, I was ready to give people their money back. I always am. And I would finish the sessions and turn to Xerxes, who's always there and who has been part of OMAT, especially the tech part. I was able to do this because he has my back in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned to him and I go, it's working. I am doing a real thing. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, I have to check on this.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the response and based on, the stuff that I'm talking about, I'm like, I'm not messing around here. Like these aren't like random hippie thoughts that I've had. These are well thought out, informative thoughts, and people are accepting it. And when I falter one way or another, it's not big, so I'm like, okay, this is a steady thing, and as long as it's working for people, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, if I was going to elevator pitch it, or you within this OMAT space, you're kind of like a gentler, more accessible Iyanla Van Zandt. Like it's like that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Because she speaks from a place of like her experience and her process and like her growth, and she fell and she tumbled. She was up at top and then she fell and she tumbled, and like now she's like coming at this from a more humble place. But to me, she sometimes comes across, here's that word, aggressive. And to me, like you have when I sit in that OMAT space with you, it doesn't come across as like, but again, she has her way for a reason, and you have your way for a reason.
Well, my way is this way because I have learned through the different programs, and I went through programs that no one wants to hear your advice. They really don't. So even when I'm in the room of, I am in a position where I can give advice, I try very hard not to give advice, which is why you'll hear me say stuff like, and when you're back, maybe drink a little bit of water.
Mm-hmm.
Up to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to stay up in this position, stay up in it. If you don't feel like it, don't give yourself the credit for staying up however long you did. And it sounds like some hippy dippy way, but when you point a finger and say you should be doing this, people start turning off. I turn off, and I want to be the most open-minded person on earth if I had a weird existential goal.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work. So I'm trying to do what works for me. And then that's it. Take what you like and leave the rest. Because if as a rule you have to listen to everything I say, I'm conniving you. That's bad news. I'm bad news if I'm saying things like that.
Yeah, it's like I remember militant yoga was fun in my 20s, but like now that I'm 40, I'm kind of not really about it anymore.
That's the thing. There is a system. There is a genuine way for things to get done, but it doesn't not count if you're doing it your way. It's just your way, and you'll find it. I don't know. You'll find whatever it is you're looking for, not what I'm looking for. So I'm trying not to tell you what to do.
Would you consider, you went on your silent retreat, you've talked about silent parties. Would you ever consider doing a silent Zoom party?
Yeah, I thought of doing that for 420. But I think we're so separated right now that we really need to connect a little more with our discussions. Like it's so hard to plan meets now and plan that kind of connection. That's probably why I haven't gone that way. That's probably why the chat parties are more, hey, let's talk about this. Let's play a game together. Let's just sit here together, because we're probably so lonely. It's such a hard world right now.
Yeah. What has been your, so far, because we're still fucking in it, we're going to still fucking be in it, thanks to Trumpito. But what is your rose?
Oh, I like that song. Go ahead.
What has been so far your rose and your thorn of quarantining in New York City, the former epicenter of the madness?
The roses, I have been working with Xerxes, and it's nice that because he's so tech savvy and here with me, that I do get to a little bit more focus on the artistic side of it, and the fact that like you're in California, I still get to see you and I still get to podcast, and we always had this available, but now it's more accessible. Keith and I have to record in separate places, so now we can do these phone interviews, so we can reach people that we didn't. And the thorn is, it's harder to have a personal life. I live in a studio with my boyfriend, and I have to make appointments with people to run into them. That's hard. I used to take my bike, and I know people are going to be over here or over there, and I can schedule a time, and then in between something might happen. Now it's if it's not on your schedule, it's very skippable. And so I'm trying, like, I'm in a wave of trying not to push my personal life aside and making appointments with friends, which feels sometimes counterintuitive. And right before, I have trouble with transition. So right before I do anything, I'm like, I don't want to. And then I have the best time. So because I know that about myself, I'm like, just do the first minute and then you'll remember. It'll
1
be
minute
good.
at a time.
That's right.
Yeah, because you're a very social person. I mean, you remind me sometimes of like my friend Minoria, that you have the house that people like congregate at. You know what I mean? So that must have been an adjustment for you in quarantine. Like, I'm a homebody, and in the last year or two, I'd really started kind of like scaling down going out because I was trying to save money. Thank God I did. Especially when I got laid off, I was really happy I did that. So, quarantining was not that hard. But now, I mean, obviously the pool helped too, obviously.
Oh, mention that up top. That is, that
But
is good.
with the fires, we have been locked inside now for 2+ weeks.
Oof.
And so now I'm starting to feel that kind of like cabin fevery feeling. So please, firefighters, please stay strong. Anywho.
I think it's safe to say we've all been thinking about you guys. That's, it's quarantine on top of quarantine. That's no joke. You really have to pay attention to that. Even introverts, and I know I'm an extrovert, but I have these introverted feelings about myself. But even introvert, you're not inside the way you want to be on your time when you need it. You're inside, and the balance is very difficult and needs a lot of attention and a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But it's cool that like you feel it, that means you feel it coming on. Maybe you know what to do.
Honey. Sorry, she's going crazy.
Does she need your attention?
No, she's at the door, but I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully she's okay. Sorry. I have to keep an extra eye on her because I went from like one senior dog that had health issues to now a baby. She has a heart murmur. So I have to be extra careful with letting her outside in the smoke and et cetera, because she's, one of those sensitive, whatevers. But we have a specialist appointment. Oh my God, it's the dog version of Chemda. No.
This is the dog show. Andrea's hearing dog whistles.
Yeah, that's what happens when you adopt a puppy. So we're taking a hard left or a hard right. I was thinking about, some of my favorite memories about you. And like, I think it's interesting that it's part of the current chat party that, you guys play poker. I have to learn how to play poker so I can join one of these days. That's why I don't join. I don't know poker. But one of my favorite memories of you over the years in the podcast, and I wasn't even there, but the description of you guys on the cruise ship playing poker and you jumping on the table and and everything over off the table. And I just think it's funny that it's still, part of your Wednesday chat parties is that you guys play poker. But
that's so funny because the prediction was that I would lose my mind. And so when I lost, I pretended to lose my mind because it was a safe fit. Like, I got on the table because that's funny. I ripped cards up. It was hilarious to me, but now it's like aggressive Chemda. And I totally get it because my mother saw that. She would agree with you guys, but congratulations. My mother agrees with you.
To me, I just think it's hilarious. I don't even connect aggressive with it. I'm just like, Chemda being Chemda.
That's fun. You got to step on a table at some point in your life.
Yes. It's not like you're shaking it and calling somebody a prostitution whore, like in the Housewives. You're just,
right.
Safe fun.
And for the record, those were my cards, and there were more of them. There were enough. I brought enough for me to rip apart. Okay. Okay. Now I'm being defensive.
So I tweeted on the tweeter, dear Keith and the Girl fans, the amazing Chemda will be on my podcast this weekend, and I was hoping some of you would share your favorite Chemda moments over the years. Send them my way. So Kyle de Blair Waldorf of, I think it's ACAB, the name is cut off. Ooh, that's exciting. My number one Chemda moment is the Denver show. She gave me the biggest hug.
The Denver show was so fun. So fun. Oh, what a blast.
And so it wasn't Denver. Which city was it that you guys, it was like sketchy and weird and you were scared getting out of
my God. Why am I not remembering that? Oh God, it's there. It's
Oh my
there.
gosh.
But
Oh,
because it's, yeah.
we we have to circle back. Like I
Uh-huh.
forget sometimes, like the cruise, the Canada trip. Didn't you guys go to the UK?
Yes.
Yeah, the UK, the bus tour. I Your camping trips, which I'm sure hope well, COVID had to come around and ruin that. I was
Mm.
really hoping for Keith and the girl camping. So Mike Anderson 130, her what do we do now approach to customer service and her reaction to my yoink tattoo, smiley face. Bren Crow at Crow Files, when she calls men on their shit, Ari Shafir comes to mind. The expertly handled telemarketing calls, the silent retreat, the break in her voice when discussing emotional moments. Oh, I get that one too. So I had to, Hamda, this is your life. No.
Well, that's so funny that Ari Shafir comes to mind because he's one of the most fun men to do that with because he'll agree with you and really listen.
Yeah.
And if you call him out and it's funny, then it's funny, So that's fun. That's a really fun guest that can roll with it.
Yes. Yes, for sure. And you guys have had amazing guests over the years.
Yeah, we've been really lucky and fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And what's funny,
also
it's not always like the big names that are like, yes, we get to be with so and so. It's like did you guys know about this person? Because this is what you want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, fast forward to Dan Soder being on Showtime, and I remember him being on the show way back when, and it's just like so many amazing people like that over the years.
Yeah, be good to your waiters. They might be superstars. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to think about it from a selfish point of view, not just be nice to people, but if we're counting hierarchies, anybody could be your next king. Relax.
I remember when I was New York the last time with you guys for the marathon and I was helping out backstage. Oh, I was so starstruck when I let Dan Soder into the building. I was like, hi, yes, please this way to the green room. Thank you.
Gotta say, Dan Soder has that effect. And, hate to say it, but on women, very much.
So taking another left, right, reverse, which direction you want to go in.
What's it matter now? We're quarantined. Let's take all the turns.
I definitely want to take a moment to talk about how much of a medical miracle you are.
Shout out to my doctors.
Shout out to your heart that survived being pushed into your shoulder.
Yes.
So how are you feeling today? And give us an update, how's it going with your myasthenia gravis? Did I get it right?
Myasthenia gravis, yeah. It took me a while to get that word, I was just like, MG, we'll just call it MG.
Keith still can't get it right, but he can barely get your name right anyways. So
oh, it's fun. Actually, he's been killing it on the name, I think, right? But yeah, that's a tough one. So I'm operating with a frozen diaphragm, so I was a little concerned about that because that's like a respiratory thing, and I like to be active. But so it's basically like the equivalent of operating with one lung. But I think because I never stopped being active, like even before my open heart surgery, 2 days before I biked for like 20 miles, because they told me I don't have to stop. I didn't. And I think that helped. I still fluctuate with how much energy I put out, but I think we all do. But I think it's like a normal amount. The myasthenia gravis acts up every here and again, but I feel fairly lucky. So I just want to, do what I'm supposed to do. What we're all supposed to do is like balance the physical with the mental, with the work, with like whatever we get to have in our lives. And I think that's the hardest part. Like, I love throwing myself into my work, but I also love going on a long bike ride. And so again, the transition. So I'm just trying to look at my calendar and see, do I have enough appointments personally? Do I have enough appointments, physically, just all that. And that's the work, I think, of life and of being an adult is going like, what am I really responsible for? How much can I handle? What can I, get help with? All that stuff. So I think
Yeah.
that's how I handle it. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. When you described yourself kind of like balancing your calendar, it immediately made me think of like, oh, that's kind of like what I get paid to do is like balance super busy people's calendars because they don't even have time to do it themselves. But, it's just,
That's work,
yeah.
obviously. Look at it's a whole job.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, offline, I'll definitely update you on that. It's been an interesting ride. Did not realize how important my boss was going to be. Uh,
Oh, nice. A
so
laddie.
I know.
Be
um,
careful who you spit on. No, just kidding.
well, no, and actually, when I got this job, my mom reminded me of, my journey, however many years ago, walking away from jobs because I wanted better. And then each lily pad helped me along the way get the experience that ultimately got me, where
Your
I
mom
am
sounds
today.
great.
Yeah, sometimes she is.
Fair enough.
So what is your rose and your thorn of 15 years with Keith Malley as your co-host, business partner, and friend whom you have taught that emotions exist?
uh, uh, hmm. The thorn happens when I expect Keith to be something he's not. So, when we put one word towards friends, like this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend, I have to think this is my friend Keith. And
Mm-hmm,
my friend Keith jokes through hard times. So
mm-hmm,
if I'm going to him for not a joke for my hard time, I'm making a big mistake. I will go to him when it's time to joke about it. And that's what he clearly expressed in the 15 years that I know him.
mm-hmm.
That's how he wants to do it. And how do you express to him that you feel it's never like, oh, Keith, that's hard. He's like, yeah. He wants to, roll his eyes at you. It's more like, this is why it's funny. And now he's okay. So just the thorn was, we went through a difficult personal time that was very hard. And, we probably weren't giving each other what we need because we had to break and figure out a new way to figure out each other and what our relationship is. But the rose is his weird random Buddha fucking sayings where it's like you always picture him holding a beer even if he's not drinking, and he'll say something that's like, actually, right, yeah, like you sound cold and distant, but actually that's a warm thing coming out of your face. We have to adjust and squint and then go, oh, yeah, okay,
The Tao of Keith.
yes, yes, yes. And he won't accept anything else. So maybe we need to learn that.
I Yeah, sometimes I want
Yeah,
to
and then
be a
he's
little bit.
pig-headed and very black and whitish, and you want to like just yell at him and go, "Okay, maybe just because you're the only one who sees it that way. You see it through your eyes, Keith. Do you see that other people have eyes? No, it's only this way. All right, then next.
Sometimes I do yell back at the podcast, like, shut the fuck up, Keith. You don't know
And
anything.
exactly. And what's fun about him? He'll be like, "Okay." Then don't listen to me. Get your opinion from somewhere. Great. Good for you.
You can stop listening.
Yeah,
Although,
you could stop doing whatever.
don't send him the email, though, because then he will respond.
Yeah, and isn't that funny? I think it's funny when he gets angry. You know what I mean? Like, just if you take it like, just know after he's finished ranting about you and your letter and whatever thought he disagrees with, his next moment is about his next moment. So you can
Yeah.
stay in that if you want, but he's going to have a sandwich. So
That's very Buddhist.
yeah, that's his next moment. Okay. Yeah, I was mad. That was fun.
So when I think of, as I mentioned earlier, grit, resilience, I think of you when I think of these words. When I was preparing for some of my interviews, I read a book, and it's Plan B by Sheryl Sandberg. And there's something that stood out to me in that book that I feel like I relate to you. And she says that people talk about like post-traumatic stress, right? But what about post-traumatic growth or growth through trauma? And to me, if I think of anybody that embodies that, it's Chemda, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things about the energy that you exude. It's like, sometimes I feel like, what the fuck am I complaining about? Look at what this woman has survived, and she still has a smile on her face. You know what I mean?
Yes, but take the time to complain a little.
Well, I do, but I'm trying to live more in a gratitude space, and because I do feel like the more I have been, and I guess gentle with myself and just tried to love myself more and not focus outward, especially like auditing the romantic relationship aspects of my life and like fully being single. Once I fully became single, got my own apartment, got a better job, started the podcast, blah, 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 da, 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 which now I'm like, now I have to like actually process the hesitation that I'm now feeling to jump back in the pool. But like, that's a conversation for another day.
I mean, this all sounds wonderful. Like you're really getting a grasp on everything. Like, or, I mean, as much as we can, like that's a lot of noticing about yourself.
I'm trying because, the last one left me broken in a very specific kind of way that I'm trying to piece back together. But I'm realizing that Humpty Dumpty had fallen off the wall a few times before that. And I never had fully even sewed up those cracks along the way.
I hear you. Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that now, little by little. But, that's why I signed up to the OMAT. That's why, I got my friend Minoria to help me kind of get my food back in line, because I was really like not taking care of myself the best way. I got really depressed after the layoff. Like I swore I was going to have a new job within 2 weeks. Totally swore. Fast forward 2 months later, I'm like, oh my God. So it was hard, but
that is hard. That's a lot of transitions all at once.
Yeah. But thankfully, I started eating better. I started meditating. I started, swimming again, and thankfully led myself through the interviews. And now I'm gainfully employed again.
I mean, good on you for all those things. Really, kudos a lot. That's
Thank
tough
you.
stuff to start again, and asking for help is like such a good reminder to me. Like, sometimes I call my brother and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this on Thursday. Can I call you first?
Yeah. Well, this podcast, it was put in, hibernation for quite a while. This is, I'm coming back out of hiatus for the amazing Chemda, which I'm so excited. So SOFE, what I call the OG podcast versus Fortunate Rants. Fortunate Rants has a specific format. So Series of Fortunate Events, I always pitch it as like half Barbara Walters, half Andy Cohen. So we've gotten through the Barbara Walters part of the show. Now we're going to go into the Andy Cohen part of the show. And I usually have silly games. I have 2 of them to play with you today. Very much tailored to Chemda. Puff or pass? Famous Duos edition. I'm going to give you a famous duo, and you're going to tell me who you want to puff and who you want to pass. We're going to start with Bert and Ernie. Who do you puff and who do you pass?
I'll puff. Oh, which one? The silly one I'll puff with, and the one who's going to tell me to make my bed, I'll pass.
Okay. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
Oh, but I should do the opposite. This is where I get I should do the opposite. I should make. Is it Bert? Yes, I'm going to smoke with him, and then we're going to make the bed together, and that'll be nice. Okay.
Take it back. And Ernie will just make you giggle in the corner.
That's right, Mimi. Yes, thank you. Okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm in.
Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse?
Oh, boy. Wow.
She did have that beautiful pie on the windowsill that made him fly.
Yes. She does try hard, but Mickey Mouse is so annoying. I like her outfit, though. I'll puff with Minnie.
Yes, and Mickey can go and make some bread.
He has plenty of people to puff with.
The Beauty or the Beast?
The Beauty, so I could tell her not to fall for it.
Miss Piggy and Kermit.
Oh man, I don't like Miss Piggy.
I think she's smoking with Kermit.
She sexually harasses Kermit all the time. Uncomfortable with it. Yeah, puff with Kermit.
And send her to HR. Lucy and Ricky.
Oh, Lucy, come on.
Homer and
Ricky.
Marge Simpson.
Marge, because Homer's just a little shit who's going to talk about nonsense. I'm going to get, oh my God, Marge High? Come on, she's going to tell me all the fun stuff.
Emily Lubin and Andrea Allen.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
Keith or the girl.
Keith is fun when he smokes. Have you seen him high? It's all of a sudden we're like, why is he? Oh, that's fun.
And the final one, shout out versus Xerxes. Can you see
Did
how
you get
much-
high while we were doing this?
You can see how much work I put into it, huh?
I love it.
So the other thing that I usually have, which is I still have the same little card that I made 2 years ago, but it's always fun to apply what basically is a speed round for drag queens to other types of performers. So speed round, same questions every time, different
Okay.
performers. So how long does it take you to get into the gig or look? So to me, how long does it take you to prep for a podcast?
Okay, so Keith gets the content ready and I do the other behind the scenes thing. So I'm just always working. And so to physically get in front of here, I turn on a bunch of things. So I'm pretty lucky I just show up
Yeah.
for that part. Yeah. Mhm.
Tips for, and here it's drag fans, so podcast fans. So when I say tip for drag fans, it's like, usually you're at the show and they get kind of clawy or a little grabby, but I feel like you have had your own experience of maybe fans not being the best kind of fans or being really good fans. So like a podcast fan, what would you tell them is like a tip to be like a polite and nice fan?
Okay, so a lot of people try to cover up how much they know about the podcaster that they listen to, and it reverses on them. They're trying not to be creepy, and they end up being creepy because they don't realize that they're censoring themselves in a weird way. Now you're not really saying full sentences. I know you know me. I know you know what I talk about. I know it's like taboo. It's okay. Don't be aggressive about it, but act like you know me. We don't have to like prove it, but go from there. It's totally cool. It's actually nice.
Tips.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Tips for baby podcasters.
For me, this is so corny, but make sure it's fun. You're gonna have to talk about whatever you decide in a very big, intense, long, whatever. Like, don't make it what that other person is, but make sure that they're podcasts that you listen to or that you like or whatever it is that you listen to. Bring that into it, and try to be as much yourself as possible, even if it's scripted. I'm not saying tell all your secrets. I'm saying be as here as possible because people can hear it, and it's okay. People like it.
Authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird to say that because it is still a performance.
Yeah.
But be authentic in that performance.
Plug for the Ultimate Podcasting Guide. I got it before I started my podcast, and I did the exercises, and
Nice.
It totally helped me figure out, the name and the brand. And even along the way, I've learned more things, obviously, by doing it myself, but it definitely helped. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast, check it out. You guys have it in the store, right?
ultimatepodcastingguide.com.
Perfect. Your favorite podcaster besides Keith and yourself?
The Hot Messers
Yes.
are great. Hot Mess.
Best
Hot Mess Comedy Hour. Just in case you're trying to Google that and look it up in your platform, you should.
Yes. So you have been a performer in many realms. So what is a good tip for you for the everyday person that they can apply confidence-wise that you do as a performance? So the question is like best drag tip for everyday women, but I feel like I want to make it like, usually people think the performers are very confident and like together, but I know that there's some things that you actually do to come across that way. So what do you think people could apply in their everyday life?
It's like going to be the same that you probably are just hearing from all of the, anyway, to be present.
Yeah.
You're here. This is what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, think about maybe admitting it, like on the spot. I'm not sure what the question is, or I'm not sure what this topic is. Because if you're going to fake it, you're going to get more and more sweaty. So, everyone's on the same side. do the shows where you feel warm and comfortable. Always go where the warmth is, um, and start there for yourself. Be gentle on yourself. If it's new, it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So agree that it's going to feel uncomfortable and see if you can handle that discomfort. And if not, scale back.
Yes.
That's what I would do.
Are you a sing around the house kind of person? I mean, you're a singer. Do you sing around the house?
I spare Xerxes from that, but he'd probably tell you no, she does, because I catch myself singing. So I'd like to think I don't. So
Because the question for the drag queen is like favorite song to lip sync to. For me, for you, it would be like, what's the song that you find yourself singing the most around the house?
oh, we probably have to ask Xerxes because I don't notice. But I'll always have a song that will repeat for that day. And ironically, one of the songs is called Again and Again. And I like, if he's hearing what I'm saying right now, he's like, no, please don't mention that song, because it literally goes again and again and again and again. Do it again, again and again. And then I'll start over. So it's not, it's like, maybe if you're asking what's the most obnoxious song I could sing around the house, I think it's that one.
And what is the most favorite gift you've ever received from a fan?
Oh, unfair. Come on.
Not counting mine, obviously.
I know. That came to mind, but I don't want to be like, yours, of course. Yours was pretty incredible. Can I say the tattoos?
Yeah. I think, yeah, absolutely.
Because that's wow. That has such a wow effect on it, because I'm with you forever. So it's a big deal.
Ain't nobody got no tattoos of me, so yes.
It does not get old. It doesn't get old. I always take a minute to be like, that's me and them forever. So
Yes.
it's a big deal.
Yes. Well, I'm so sad. This is the end of the show. I want to make sure KeithandTheGirl.com, aka KATG.com, which I also did both URLs for my podcast, Inspired
nice.
by You. Only in New York with Andrea and Tracy.
Yes.
You have, what's my name? Is that gonna come back at any point? Or is it part of VIP?
Yeah, I like we have so many VIP shows that we now don't push it necessarily. We have the weekly ones that you can rely on, but I'd like to compile people who I really want to talk with for What's My Name on a topic that I'm really interested in. So now we have the places to put. So if I meet someone that goes with What's My Name, I do one. And so we have that option. But yeah, I want to.
Yeah. It's like there's the main river, and then you have all the little like mini rivers that come off of the main river. So Keith the Girl, KTG, Only in New York, OMAT. Anything else that we want to make sure that people know about you or check out while they're listening to this or watching this? This is going to be the first video one, you guys.
Oh, hi. Click all the links. That's how you pay artists when you're not giving them money. That's how you get more of the things that you're looking for to begin with. So if you can't support this show monetarily, click the links and click the likes, click the stars. I swear an artist just like giggles a little on their own every time you do something like that.
It's like Tinkerbell. It's like Tinkerbell hearing the clapping.
Those notices mean a lot to us. Thank you.
Well, I love you. This has been an honor. I'm not worthy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Hello, video world.
And I'll see you at the OMAT Club.
All right. See you then.
Bye, everybody.
Cherry presents a series of fortunate events.